Well, I was talking about the pain. That is also the primary concern of Patanjali. And in this case, I have told you that Patanjali also starts with the Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha. And why to control it? Undoubtedly, it is disturbing, therefore, you have to control. Otherwise, Patanjali would not have suggested right in the beginning that you should control the mind. I am not going into details of mental modification. I am simply translating it as mind. Control the mind. Mind is the worst culprit behind all sorts of pain and suffering that we are experiencing in our day-to-day life. But Patanjali has presented the concept of pain in little different way. Do not think that Patanjali talks about pain only with reference to the mind. Patanjali has talked on the other aspects that is responsible for generating pain in the world. Now, if we have to understand it, when we are experiencing in the world all types of pleasure, happiness, no problem, we are least thinking about the world, about the myself, where from I have come, why I have come, or nothing. Just world looks to be so beautiful. But quite contrary to this, if sometime something happens, some accident, it may be that we lose some near and dear because of the death. It may be also because of some loss in the business, some loss in some other way. Then we start thinking, why this loss to me? Why I have lost my near and dear? Why this problem has come to me? And then we start thinking further that, okay, I am suffering, I am having the problem, but other persons are not having the problem. So it means that the cause of the problem is highly subjective. It is not objective. If you are suffering from the particular reason, any problem, the same reason may be a cause of happiness for others. Not necessary that what is giving you pain will give pain to others also. Am I correct to say this thing? This is very interesting. So pain and suffering and whatever the problem that we are undergoing are all subjective, not objective. And Patanjali is very clear on this point. In order to understand more technically how Patanjali presents, he writes, or the way he has presented, his presentation of pain can be divided into two parts. One is known as inborn pain. You have taken birth in this world, so pain is associated right from your birth. The birth itself is pain. So this is called inborn. And the second is acquired. Acquired means when you grow, you come into contact with the people, you come into contact with the different environment, different situation, different climate, different type of persons with whom you have to interact, and that if you are not keeping your mental balance, will result into different type of problem which will be considered as acquired problem, not inborn. So there are two types of problem or suffering that comes to us, is known as inborn and acquired. Try and go further. I'm just not using the term, technical term used by Patanjali. I'm just trying to reach you the concepts. Even inborn also is of two types. Inborn is not only of one type. One type is that when you have taken birth, and even before birth, some problem is associated with our consciousness, soul, or whatever you want to say this. That is also associated with it, and that works as the goading factor for our birth, rebirth. And therefore, this inborn or one particular type of inborn pain is that comes from the past life in this life. We have done something in our past lives and we have to undergo the consequences as we have not completed or exhausted our karmas or consequence of the karmas in the past life. We have to exhaust it in this life. But in the process of the problem is that we are trapped in the vicious circle. We are taking birth in order to exhaust the past karmas or consequence of the past karmas. But when we have taken birth, we do the new karmas also. And they get deposited. They get deposited if they do not give the result or consequence immediately. Because every karma doesn't mature immediately. They can get matured. So when you are here for 6 days, this karma get matured in 6 days. Because we will give you certificate, karma matured. But there are certain karmas which you do is not matured in this life, in these 6 days. And those get deposited. And in this way, in the process of exhausting the past consequences of the life, karmas, we are also performing the new actions and that get accumulated and that works as the reason, cause for our next life. And that's why the vicious circle. That's why it is necessary that we have to break this chain, break this circle. If you don't break this vicious circle, I am not using for my own. Actually, the concept of vicious circle you will find in Buddhism also. It is called in technical term in Buddhism, it is called dependent origination. Or in Pali term, it is called paticca samuppada. The same vicious circle is there in Patanjali. See, the concepts are very similar. It has been presented in a different way, but not that conceptually they differ. Conceptually they are or both are from the Indian soil. And the smell of Indian soil is there commonly available in Patanjali and Buddha. So inborn is first of all those type of pain that we are transmigrating from this life to another life. Or whatever we are undergoing the pain in this life has transmigrated from our past life. This is what our birth, we have taken birth means a starting point of the pain. That's all. So this is what is the inborn. But as we grow, every pain doesn't come immediately. Because the baby is born, not that every pain it is being or it is able to experience. So when we grow further, then the faculty, different faculty, starts working. Different faculty means the sense organ start working, the mind starts working. And when sense organ and mind starts working, there comes the problem of chittavritti. Chittavritti problem doesn't come as the responsible factor for our this birth. Responsible factor is the karma. There is no doubt about it. But chittavritti further contributes in leading us towards such karmas which get deposited and become responsible for the next life. And that is why chittavritti also is a culprit behind our vicious circle of life and death, or life and rebirth. This is called, now I'm coming to the technical terms used by Patanjali. I
This
have
is the
given,
second reason for inborn pain. Chittavritti is the second reason for
yes, chittavritti, functioning of the mind, functioning of the faculty is known as
But
sense
then
organs.
that is when we are already born.
Yes, of course.
But as you said, there are two reasons for the pain. One is which is we are born with, and the other is which we acquire during our birth.
Acquired is
तो
different.
इनबॉर्न में आपने कहा दो टाइप के
Yes.
होते हैं, एक जो होता है जिसको आप कहते हैं प्रारब्ध है, आपका पुराना कर्म है, और दूसरा क्या हुआ आपने कहा?
दूसरा भी कर्म का ही है, लेकिन वो तुरंत मैंने बताया ना, आई सेड दैट द अदर टाइप ऑफ पेन इज नॉट एक्सपीरियंस इमीडिएटली एज यू टेक बर्थ.
जी.
That gets manifested and it starts giving you trouble when your faculty starts working, different faculties of senses, of mind. So when you start sensing, because the baby is not able to sense,
जी.
the sense organ gets ability to correlate it with the world is gradually attained. And the mind also gets the faculty working gradually. And when mind and this sense organ start working, they become responsible for the second inborn pain. Coming to the technical term used by Patanjali. Pardon me. You know, before I go to the technical term used by Patanjali, I am just giving you something to ponder upon. You know, when we die, what remains in the world and what transmigrates. We die, something remains in the world, and something not visible, but highly potential for the next life. Highly potential, though it is not visible. Something remains in this world and something transmigrates. This in term of philosophy, this is called the body that remains in the world as sthula sarira, gross body. So one body is there, this is known as the gross body, which remains in the world after death. But you know, something that transmigrates remains operative. It is not dead. And that which is not dead is responsible for the next life. And from that point of view, there are two things. One is called Karan Sarir, known as causal body, and the other is called Sukshma Sarir, subtle body. Now, what is the difference between these two? Let us try to understand it also. Body remains here, but causal body and subtle body still continues. And causal body and subtle body both get transmigrated in the next life. But what is the difference between causal body and subtle body? causal body is the reason behind the next life. Subtle body is not operative when we are dead and causal body and subtle body is there. Subtle body only remains associated with the causal body, but subtle body is not at all operative. Then what is the subtle body? Subtle body is the sense organs. Sense organ cannot remain operative unless it is associated with the body. So subtle body with the sense organ doesn't remain operative. Motor organs, they are also not operative. When I am using the word motor organs, do not confuse the concept of motor organ with the hand. Hand is the stool body. Hand receives and gives. But you know that it is not the hand which receives or gives. You can give and receive without the hand also. So a receiver and giver is something else inside. That is a different faculty. So organ of motor organs and sense organs, they are called the subtle body. Along with that mind is also subtle body. It also can't work unless it is associated with the body. Then what is the subtle body? What is the causal body? Everything has come under subtle body. Causal body is actually the responsible factor for our next life and remains operative even when it has left the body. It remains operative when you are alive in this world. When we are dead, it still remains operative and finds out the new body. So it is not that causal body is just relaxing somewhere. It is not relaxing. It's moving, highly moving. And that causal body is said to be, in a technical term of Patanjali, known as Klesha. The word Klesha sounds very heavy. But if I say it is avidya, you will have not a less problem in understanding. Avidya, ignorance. And ignorance is the root cause of our coming in this world again and again, again and again. Now you can understand from this particular classification what is the most important thing to overcome or to cut or to reduce the impact in this life is avidya. So you have to work on avidya. And working on avidya sounds as if, what is this? I am a literate person. I am a literate person. I have got so much degrees. And he is saying that ignorance, avidya, you don't know. I know so many things. And it is true that I know so many things, yet I don't know anything. We are not better than the parrot of Mahatma Ji. Have you heard the Mahatma Ji's parrot? No? Very interesting story, very small story. You know, a hunter used to come to the jungle forest where that Mahatma Ji was living. Some yogi, Mahatma Ji, whatever you want to call. And he used to observe that hunter used to come at a particular point, spread his net, trap, throw some grains, And all the parrots who were there on the tree come on that particular night are trapped, and that hunter used to collect them and sell them into the market. This was going on. One day Mahatmaji thought, why not I should help these parrots so that they are saved from getting trapped by the hunter. So he caught one parrot and started teaching it. And he said, it is in Hindi, शिकारी आएगा जाल बिछाएगा दाना डालेगा. I am just translating it. The hunter will the hunter will come. He will spread his net. He will throw some grains. But don't get trapped out of greed. That parrot was very intelligent and learned within no time. Within a day or two, he completed his lesson and he started speaking. The hunter will come, he will spread his net, he will throw some grains, but don't get trapped out of greed. Very nice. Mahatmaji was very happy that now there will be no problem. He left it free. He went to his group, and you know that parrots have a unique habit. Once a parrot is speaking, all the parrots started speaking the same thing. And all the parrots were speaking, the hunter will come, he will spread his net, he will throw some grains, don't get trapped out of greed. Hunter came on his due time, and he heard that all the parrots are speaking this, that hunter will come. He became very much disappointed. He thought, okay, what I am going to do, they know in advance. And now they will not be trapped. And he was very much dejected. He thought what I should do. Because that was the only source of his income. He went to Mahatmaji. And he asked Mahatmaji, what you have done? You have made these people aware, made these parrots aware. And now they will not be trapped. Now they will not be trapped. How I will survive in the world? Because that was the only source of earning. I used to sell them in the market, and that I was earning for feeding my family. And now it will not possible. You have done great injustice towards me. Mahatmaji said, why are you worrying? You do your work. They are doing their own work. You do. I have not said to you that you don't do the work, or they are not saying. You do the work. Why you are worrying for that? Hunter had no option. He spread his net. He threw the grains. As soon as he threw the grains, all the parrots speaking the same sentence. The hunter will come, he will spread his net, he will throw some grains. Don't get trapped out of greed, and they were trapped. You know, we are also having the same thing. We are not more than parrots. We are all literate parrots. We know everything. It is not that we are not aware. Well, when I am speaking, I am including myself also. I am also a bit older parrot. But I am not better than parrot. Getting freedom from the pain and suffering is not simply that you know that wow, this freedom, pain and suffering is caused. Unless we also act accordingly in order to become free from pain and suffering. Knowledge is not sufficient. Patanjali says, avidya is the root cause. It is the ignorance which is the root cause for all types of pain and suffering that we are undergoing in this world. And if we want to overcome the pain and suffering, we have to overcome avidya. Now, question arises, okay, what is avidya in this context. One thing is very clear, that not knowing the truth about the world is avidya. Not knowing the truth about oneself is avidya. Not knowing the relationship of the self and the world is avidya. Avidya is not only that not knowing about the world. A physicist knows. So soul, world and relationship. What type of relationship it is? Is it essential relationship? Or it is an optional relationship? Is this relationship such that we cannot survive without it? Patanjali, while talking about avidya, he has used a technical term known as klesha. And he says that there are 5 kleshas, 5 afflictions, 5 source of pain. I am saying source of pain because they are the fundamental source of pain. I am also saying source of pain because they are responsible for our birth and death cycle. I am also saying source of pain. Primarily, they are responsible for our rebirth. They are 5 in numbers, and they are ignorance, ego, I amness. In a different word you can say I amness, attachment, aversion, and fear of death, or you can say love for life. Fear of death, love for life are one and the same thing, not very different. Who fears death? Who has love for life. So fear of death and love for life are not two different things. Patanjali says it is the avidya because of which this I amness or attachment or aversion or fear of death has come into existence. I am not quoting the sutra, I am just giving you the meaning only. He says, avidya asmita raga dvesa vinivesa klesha. Avidya, which I said ignorance, asmita, which I said I amness, rag, that is attachment, dves, that is aversion, and avinives, that is fear of death or love for life. These are the 5 kleshas. But Patanjali doesn't stop here. Patanjali says that rest of the 4 kleshas that I have enumerated are generated because of the avidya. That is, if there is asmita, it is also because of avidya. If there is raga, it is also because of avidya. If there is dvesha, it is also because of avidya. And if you are suffering from avinives, it is also because of avidya. Avidya chetram uttaresham. Avidya is the breeding ground. So what is the most important culprit in this world for the sake of all sorts of pain and suffering is avidya, which generates further the concept of ego, concept of attachment, concept of aversion, and also fear of death. And pain, avidya, avidya is a broader term. Actually, when you are suffering from asmita, it is also suffering from avidya. When you are suffering from attachment, it means you are suffering from avidya. When you are suffering from klesha, known as fear from death or love for life, it is also avidya. So avidya is there in all these four. And Patanjali has mentioned it very clearly. What is avidya? We'll be talking it in the next. Let's stop it here.